In a bit of a stunning move, Alabama has repealed its telemedicine license program in 2022, and that's not good news for the rest of us or the rest of the country. I'm Scott Radigan, a functional lawyer, and I'm here to give you the updates on telemedicine laws around the country. Up until this point, I have been espousing the belief that most states will come to some sort of understanding where they can lower some of the barriers to out-of-state providers practicing in their state. Um, it won't be a national license anytime soon. It won't be a reciprocity across the country anytime soon. But I was hopeful we could get there within 5 to 10 years with just telemedicine registrations or licenses. To give you an example, and I don't want to pick on Alabama because for all the jokes about them being backwards, they're not. They had a special purpose telemedicine license on the books in 1997. So way before most states even thought about it, and some states still have no telemedicine provisions at all, whether that's statute or board rules or both. So Alabama for the past 25 years has had a program available to out-of-state practitioners, MDs and DOs, that they could register with the state of Alabama, do a few things of paperwork, and then be able to practice there without getting a full license. So you're not allowed to open a practice there or see patients when you're physically in Alabama. But you could verify that you're licensed in a good professional and good standing in your state, and then register to see patients in Alabama. In April, the governor signed into legislation the act of this year that kind of repeals that whole program. Now, that's not all bad news because Alabama does have other backdoors in, and I'll tell you about that. But the thing to remember here is that it's not just like everybody's going to all of a sudden just knock down the walls to their state and let everybody come in and practice. Far from it. Each state wants to have control over what is happening in their state and protecting their own citizens. So it's within their rights to make these decisions. I'm actually writing a book, and if you've been following me for any length of time, I've been telling you that there are lots and lots of these programs around the country, somewhere between 15 and 20 at the moment. We have one fewer now. But a lot of states will allow you to just register, set up a presence in that state in the form of a registered agent, and then you can practice medicine there without getting the full license with background checks and fingerprints and all that, and the fees and costs that go along with that. And also, you don't have to do all of the full CMEs that a licensed provider in that state would do as well. So I did mention that there are other ways to practice in Alabama via telemedicine, and we'll get to that in a second. But let me just go through what this says, and we will then cover how to practice in Alabama, which will also be beneficial for other states. So bear with me. So the law actually puts in a few regulations about what has to be done with telehealth, and there's another concerning one there as well that kind of rolls things backwards from the perspective of providers, but in the minds of Alabama legislature, protects their citizens better. So there's competing interests that are both valid and legitimate. So we just kind of have to roll with it and understand there are 52-ish jurisdictions in America that we have to navigate in order to, if you wanted to practice around the whole country. So they repealed the special purpose license program. And unless you qualify for a different exception, like peer-to-peer consultations or infrequent or episodic care, which is limited to about 10 patient encounters in the state, you can do that not for free, but you can see up to 10 patient encounters per year in the state via telemedicine. You otherwise have to be fully licensed in Alabama now. So if you're holding a special purpose license in Alabama, that will expire at the expiration date and it will not be renewable. This law goes into effect in July, but they're going to let your SPLs expire in their natural course. More importantly, Alabama added another provision that's a little bit unique, and it's a little bit not backwards, but as I said, they're trying to protect their patients or their citizens, your patients, but it kind of hampers telemedicine innovation, and we'll talk about that. So they did retain the right that patient-physician relationship can be established via telemedicine if the standard of care is met. They did kind of go over some prescribing rules. in general, follow the rules of the state where the patient's located. Controlled substances generally require in-person visit before you can prescribe controlled substances. But what was really kind of the concerning part was they put in a new requirement that if a physician or a group provides telehealth medical services more than 4 times in a year in a 12-month period to the same patient for the same medical condition without resolution, they have to be seen in person. Now, they don't have to be seen in person by you, but they do have to be seen in person by somebody, whether that's their PCP or you. If you're out of state, it would most likely be their PCP or somebody else. So that's concerning because not a lot of states have an in-person requirement anymore, so long as you're meeting the standard of care. Alabama just put one in here in 2022. Now, albeit with a lot of caveats, 4 visits in the 12-month span, same condition without resolution. How do we define all condition that's the same? And how do we define resolution for chronic issues? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But the point is, things are not going in the right direction when it comes to practitioner freedom in the state of Alabama. And so anytime there's progress made, there's always a pushback by other interest groups. So the medical boards and the state legislatures are trying to protect their citizens. They're also trying to protect their power and their money as well. I did mention there was 2 backdoor ways to get into Alabama. Backdoor is probably not the best word. So Alabama is a member of the Interstate Medical Licensure Compact. More information on that can be found at imlcc.org. But what that means is that you can do the background check, do the fingerprints at one central location with IMLCC for a fee of, last time I checked, it was about $800. But then that is just one clearinghouse. So if you want to get licensed in other member states to that compact, it expedites the application process. So you would still need a full license. You would just have an easier path for the application process to practice in Alabama. So the good news is they didn't kind of take it away completely, and maybe they just shut it down because they are a party to the compact and they just want to use that program moving forward. That could be the rationale. I don't think they're doing it to punish anybody, but just keep in mind that every state is different. And just because somebody's telling you that you can call yourself a consultant and practice medicine, it's absolutely not true. So do your homework, talk to an attorney, or follow me at functionallawyer.com, and we'll try to get your telemedicine practice up and going and safe so that you can help focus on healing your clients, healing your patients, and doing good in the world without worrying about looking over your shoulder, going to jail, paying fines, or both. So I try not to do a lot of fear tactics, but you should know this is serious stuff and you need to follow the rules, as we all should. All right, that's it. I'm Scott Radigan, and we'll see you next time.